Hello, and welcome to this episode of The Financial Translator, where we discuss financial topics in layman's terms to move you from confusion to confidence on a given topic. I am your host, Kirk Kreckmeyer, the Principal Advisor at Pebble Valley Wealth Management. We are a fee-only financial advisory firm helping our clients make informed decisions on their road toward financial security. You can find more information at pvwealthmgt.com. On today's show, we're going to provide our own version of Mythbusters as it relates to Social Security and Medicare. There was a recent annual trustee report released, and so we're going to give a summary of that and go clarify a few things that people have some misunderstandings on. So joining me today is Bree, so thanks again for joining me on this podcast.
Yeah, excited. Social Security, it's always an exciting topic.
It's a riveting topic. That it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we got a lot more details on the blog post. So again, I geek out about this. I wrote a paper in college about it back in 1985, 86.
I think that says a lot.
Says a lot. I probably have the paper somewhere in my drawer back there because
we can put that on the web too.
Put on the website, yeah. And we'll actually talk about 1983 in a bit. Pivotal point. Last time we were at this point in the program, but anyway, so I take a great interest in it. And I'm an actuary geek, and so I just like to look at the numbers. But it's also very important for you, the listeners. Social Security and Medicare. We'll talk about what that means and the programs, but these are two very important programs for the financial security in your retirement. So the funds need some work, so they're going to be around. Let me start by saying that they're going to be around, but they are needing some extra funding. So we're going to talk about that and just make sure people are aware of what they have. So like I mentioned on my blog post, if you want to go in and get out, I've got 3 summary graphs at the beginning that'll give you a quick synopsis of what we're talking about, and then I follow it with like a 13 Q&A format of different aspects of the program. So if you want to go deep, go in there. I even link the actual 273-page trustee report.
Some light reading.
I know I was going to skip it, but Bree read it last night and gave me the summary. So
I'll right to sleep. Okay.
So there it is. Those who want to, they can go deep. But so we're not going to do that today. So please stay with us. We're gonna have a little fun, but we are going to talk about some common myths that I think about sometimes or get questions on. I'm sure at your cocktail parties, which is a very riveting topic.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking Social Security, right? So I thought we'd do is just go over some of those topics and just take it from there. So, So what do you think? Common myths do you think that are
maybe
out there?
if we just want to start like very high level, Social Security, Medicare, and like kind of what is covered under each and the difference, like just maybe level set, and then we can jump into
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, and actually, I mentioned those 3 graphs at the start of my blog post. There's actually one graph I put up there that does a great job of summarizing. Years past, I used to have a bunch of words, and it was pretty painful. So on the screen now, you're going to see a graph that shows, it was actually from the trustees report summary. And it does a good job. So most people, when they say Social Security, they might be thinking everything, Social Security and Medicare, but it's actually 2. So 1, there is Social Security and Medicare. But even within that, Social Security, most people just think of it as that. But there are 2 parts. One is the old age and survivor benefits. So what does that mean? That means the most common one, the retiree benefits that retirees get from Social Security. But the best part, the survivor, means if, God forbid, if a person passed away early and they have children or even their spouses under certain ages, Social Security does provide benefits for them. And so a lot of people don't realize that. Unfortunately, we've had some clients that have been in that situation and they've been getting benefits, as a children under age 18. So the table there, as you can see, Social Security, they got the old age survivor, and then the disability benefits. And then on the right-hand side, you got Medicare. Again, most people think Medicare, everything is all lumped together. Absolutely not. And so you'll see the HI part, the hospital insurance, that's the Part A. And then they call it supplemental medical insurance. Think of that as the Part B, which are doctors, and Part D, which are drugs. So that's the main distinction of it. And I guess one last thing before we jump away from this is when we talk about the financing of the program, you'll see on the table there, it shows you when these funds are going to run out, and we'll talk about what that means later. And when it does run out, how much can it cover? And so you'll see that Social Security, the first column runs out in 2032 and can only cover 78%. But in reality, it's going to take an act of Congress, but more than likely they'll combine those 2 programs together. And so you'll see on a later graph that runs out in 2034 and covers about 83%.
Yep.
All right. So the other interesting thing is if you see on the supplemental medical insurance, they have this, it's fully financed for indefinitely. Like, how the hell can they claim that when this program's in trouble? The reason is because, and a lot of people don't, this is like, I'll throw out my own little myth now. Most people think they're paying into Social Security and Medicare while they're working, and that covers all Medicare. Well, in fact, it only covers the Part A, the hospital insurance. The Part B and the Part D, none of that is financed through FICA taxes. It's all through premiums. And so we'll get into that later, but it's an interesting thing that
So when they
not
say
people
it's
realize.
covering, it's only the hospitalization piece.
Hospitalization piece.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Probably
so-
the smaller.
Smaller, correct,
Right,
correct.
right.
You know, when it happens, it's big, right? If
Right,
it's going to a
right,
doctor,
right.
it's going to be a big number.
Everydays, your doctors and your medicine.
And your drugs, yeah. And those are, you know, through premiums, which people love, but we'll get into that later. So, yeah, so that's kind of the big, and I guess the last point before we move on to the myth busting here is, so when we talk about like, how's the program doing? How is it financed? You know, recall that graph I showed earlier. It's like, well, what program are we talking about? So if it's, you know, Medicare, it's like, well, okay, is that hospital or, so it's important to know when someone says, hey, this is when it's going to run out of money, you know, what piece are they talking about? Yeah. So, but anyway, probably a lot more of an overview than you wanted, but that's a level.
No,
set.
I think that, yeah, that's a good place to start. And I think you kind of touched on it a few times. And I think my biggest concern on the whole topic, and I think everyone else's is, as you mentioned, when is it going to run out, or what, you know, is it going to run out, or what,
Yep.
you know, because I know I've been paying into it for 30 plus however many years, and I would like my money, but I, you know,
right, yeah.
as everyone wants. So I guess
And what do you think the perception is? Like, people, do they think it's like it's running out and zip, it's gone, or what do you think people are expecting?
I think it's trending that way.
Yeah,
it's not going to be anything.
Yep.
Yeah. When we're retired, there won't be anything left.
Nothing left. Yeah. I agree. That's a common concern that people have. And even, you know, as a financial advisor, the punchline I use 80% of the benefits, which gives us my answer, which is yes, it is going to be around. And I think if there's one thing I can say in this podcast today, it absolutely will be around.
There will be something.
Something will be there. It absolutely will be there. It just won't be the full benefit. Something that has to be adjusted. So those people who are like, oh, it's not going to be around, just assume zero, that is absolutely wrong. If you want to follow the actuarial trustee report, they say that, again, if Congress does nothing and they don't combine anything, only 78% of the benefits. And so let's pull up another graph on the screen, better than me rambling away. So there's graph on the screen now here, again, from these trustee reports. I like the way it summarizes it because it captures kind of the when that you asked, what happens then, and what is going on. So the graph on the screen now, this is the Social Security, so not just the left two that we're talking about, but this is the combined Social Security and DI. It's called the OASDI. What the graphic shows you there, it's kind of a busy graph, but the dark line, you know, right now they're paying all the benefits, and we'll get into the trust funds in a second, but they're able to take in taxpayer money from FICA taxes. They're drawing down these trust funds, and they're paying all the benefits. But you'll see on the graph there, suddenly that dark black line drops down to a lower amount in around 2032. And so what that's saying is, like, okay, in 2032, the trust fund,
not that long.
yeah, less than 8 years away, right? Yeah, less than 8 years away. The trust fund runs out, so they can't draw any more there. So that's where most people say, well,
it's
okay,
gone.
game over, it's gone. It's like, well, let's not forget FICA, the payroll taxes that everybody's paying in. Whether you're an old fart like me or a new young intern that's working for us, everyone's paying in, that's going to continue.
Yeah.
So those benefits, and so that's why that the estimates are, if you combine the two programs, which they show on the graph here, at that point when funds run out, 83% the FICA taxes will cover 83% of the benefits. But so is it going to zero? No. But is a trust fund going to zero? Absolutely. It's going to run out. It's just that they're going to keep, you know, collecting taxes from us hardworking people on the payroll.
Yeah.
So that's again a big myth, but one I want to definitely, you know, crush with a sledgehammer is that it definitely will be around, just not full amount.
Yeah, but still,
Well,
not what you want to hear. I would
No,
rather
for
have
sure.
100, but I guess 80,
Right.
82, or what is it, 83? You said 82?
Yeah, 83 combined. So again,
83,
some people might hear like, well, I heard 78% in the news media. That is correct. They're only talking about that OASI.
Okay.
They're not incorporating the disability portion, which again, it does take an act of Congress, and so maybe they won't do it. But realistically speaking, 83% is a working number.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Like, what do you think there's anything that could be done, like realistically, to fix this? I mean, I know, you know, in the short term, like, you know, short of an active, I don't know. I don't even know how they could fix it.
Yeah. Well, so the good news is they know it's coming, right?
Yeah.
This is like a slow-moving train wreck.
Right.
The other good news, and I didn't realize this until probably 2 years ago, so I guess I didn't do my studies very well in college, but we've been here before, 1983. So I was in college, and so high school even, so I wasn't focused on this at the time. But some people may recognize the name of Alan Greenspan, so the Fed chair.
Yeah.
in 1983, guess what he was doing? He was heading the task force to clean up Social Security. So the financing of Social Security, we've been here before. 1983, they got together a task force. Alan Greenspan headed it, and they made some changes. And then they had it able to finance for, I guess, out till 2034 now. Yeah. So what is that? I can do the math, but 15 plus 30, about 45 years, 50 years. So pretty good job. The other interesting thing I just learned a couple of months ago was, we're talking about, 2032 is not that far away.
Yeah.
Well, back in 1983, they knew it was coming. They waited until the very last minute. Last minute meaning a few months prior. So I'm kind of worried. A lot of people are kind of worried, but Congress is Congress. And if it's anything like 1983, they might do it last minute.
Yeah.
But so what are they doing? So on my blog post, I have a link, and there's different things, and I'm just reading it here. It's not on the screen now, but they could adjust. So the short answer is they could raise our taxes, or they could cut benefits.
Yeah.
So let's think about Congress. Would Congress want to raise taxes? Yeah, they might, or some would.
Yeah.
How many in Congress want to cut benefits?
Yeah.
Absolutely none. So more than likely.
So there's no easy. No easy
solution, but they're looking at it. So okay, they're not going to maybe cut benefits, but maybe they adjust the inflation adjustment, or maybe they're not going to cut your benefits. But when I retire at not retire, I'm going to work till probably age 70, but the full retirement age is 67 for you and I.
Yeah.
Maybe for our young intern, that's going to be age 70 or 72. So she's still getting those benefits, but she has to wait a bit longer.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons are people are living longer. So a lot of this stuff, again, it's very involved, a lot of numbers, but think back in 1940 when this thing first started, people weren't living that long.
Yeah, it was easier.
So they started the benefits, and now all of a sudden we're living a lot longer. There's a graph on my blog post that you can look at the big change. So it's like, well, hey, you're raising my retirement age. It's like, well, yeah, but we're also living a lot longer in retirement. So it's just natural adjustments that you have to make. So yeah, they are looking at it. They know it's coming. It is Congress. One example, I guess two examples. One is, let's just raise taxes, right? Let's not change the benefits. Let's not change our interns' full retirement age, but let's just raise taxes. If they do that alone, they would have to raise FICA tax by 4%. So that's you see only 7.65. The employer kicks in some, so that's 15.3.
Yeah.
So if you had 4, that's 19.3. And then if you're above 200,000, 250 of income and it's a joint filer, 0.9, you're talking over 20% of payroll.
Yeah, that's
a shitload of taxes. So that's one benefit, but there's a lot being paid in already. And the other thing is just they talk about, let's just remove the salary cap. The Social Security FICA taxes has this tax only up to a certain income limit. A lot of people say, well, let's just get rid of that. That'll solve the problem. Problem there is Social Security is already quite progressive in the calculations. And so I won't bore the details now, but there's a graph on my blog post that shows the first, say 20,000 of income, you get 90% credit for your income. Everyone pays the same tax. And then the next chunk, you only get 32% credit. And then the rich people, they only get 15% credit, even though they're paying the full tax. So it's already extremely progressive.
Yeah.
So a lot of people say, well, let's just tax the rich. It's like, well, boy, it's already adjusted down for that. So let's just understand the program before we start adjusting some of these things. But anyway, yeah. So
there's no unfortunate easy.
No easy, but they'll definitely get it. Been there before. They got enough leverage to pull. Again, so 1983, it used to be age 65 full retirement age. So they didn't cut benefits, but it's now 67. So that's one where, just given the increase in life expectancy, I would fully expect, I could be wrong, but I would fully expect they're going to raise that more. So, the intern has to go till they're 70, let's say, but that's, 50, 60 years away. So, 60, 50, yeah.
Long way.
Speaking of our intern, you don't see it on the screen, but we have our intern cranking right now. She's our producer. So sorry, you may have to wait for a little longer for your full retirement age benefit.
So you keep talking about the FICA, and you talk about these trust funds. So I guess when we are paying into our when they are taking the FICA out of our paycheck, where is it going?
Yeah.
And you mentioned the FICA or the trust funds are going to, so I guess now when we pay in, it's going into this trust fund, and that's what's almost gone.
Yep. So the first question, where is it going? And this was something when I did my paper back in 1985 or 86. Back then I thought, I got my own Social Security number. I'm paying in money. I assumed my FICA taxes, the government had kind of my own little 401k with my Social Security number on it.
Yeah.
That is not the case. So I think that's another probably myth that a lot of people don't realize. So it's called a pay-as-you-go program. So where does it go? The FICA taxes. So they take it from your payroll and it goes to the government, but it doesn't stay in your account. It immediately goes to pay the retirees' benefits or the survivors, the disability. We fund a lot of the Medicare, which we'll talk about in a second. So it comes in, but then it goes out. So that's what happens today. That wasn't always the case. And so on the screen now, I'm going to show a graph of these trust funds we kept talking about. So this is also from the summary report. So prior to 2010, I think it was. Let's go with 2010. I think that was a number. So on the screen there, you'll see these lines. That is the balance expressed as a percentage of the annual cost. But if it's over 100, that means it's a surplus. Prior to 2010, there were enough people working and fewer people on benefit that they were able to take in our money. Again, it's pay as you go, so it immediately goes to pay out. It's like, oh, we got some leftovers here. So let's put those in a trust fund so that if later we have to pull. So you can see on the screen there, prior to that, there were more workers. It's another graph on my blog post. It shows number of workers for covered retirees. That's been going down. People are living longer. So in 2010, the money coming in from FICA wasn't enough to cover it. So they started tapping the trust fund. So when we say, hey, the program's going broke, we're going to run out of money, it's these trust funds. And so if you look at the screen there, the OASI, again, it's not considered DI, and that's in 2032 where it drops to zero. Yeah. And then the HI, that's the Medicare Part A, hospital insurance only. That runs out, I think it was in 2033. Okay. DI has a lot more. I suspect they're going to combine the DI and OSI. But when that happens, and that's that earlier graph, like, crap, there's no more trust fund. So we're still going to collect FICA. We're still going to pay it out. But it's like, damn, we're a little short and there's nowhere else to go. So we can only pay out 83%. Yeah. Okay. For you and I, because that's not just our intern. That's you and I. Yeah. We're gonna be feeling that pain. So yeah. So that's the. So they talk about the viability of the program. When is it running out of money? It's these trust funds that they can't supplement the shortfall in FICA. Okay. I don't know if you remember too. I'm dating myself, but Saturday Night Live. I think. My kids like to watch that. So way back in the day, probably 2000, when Al Gore was running for president, so they had a skit on there because he was a big proponent of kind of having that own, call it a lockbox. And so if you remember we got to put it in the so anyway, the lockbox is kind of these trust funds, and they're going broke. So that's where the FICA taxes go. Okay. Well, I feel a little bit better about the future of it, but still not awesome. Yeah. Some work to do. So another, I guess, myth, I feel like when everyone hits that age that they can go to Medicare, it's like they feel like that's like the time, is that true or is that not? Yeah, like they're finally covered. Yeah. Like they don't have to worry about it anymore. Exactly. So, I would say yes, for sure. And actually one quick distinction there, full retirement age for you and I, that's for Social Security, right? Age 67. Our intern, probably age 70. Medicare, again, which program are we talking about here? Medicare always was 65. Right. It lined up with Social Security. It now still is 65. So that's one thing to realize. A lot of people think that they can't get Medicare until eligible for Social Security, but no. So 65. So yes, they're very happy. Right. So it's like, wow, I'm paying a boatload of health insurance costs. I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to worry about that. It only cost me $200. It's $290 to be exact for each person. But people are like, oh, thank God. That's great. So definitely, yes, that's true. Now, maybe people are thinking, well, wow, why is the government that more efficient than the private industry with delivering healthcare? The answer to that is no. But it's like, well, why the hell is it so affordable then? What is the magic of this government program? And the magic is that what you're paying in, so again, $202.90 down to the penny there per month per person, that only covers about 22% of the true cost in the program. So again, let the picture tell the words talk for me here. So on the screen now, you're going to see a graph that shows, and again, this is Medicare. So this is all parts, Part A, Part B, and Part D. It shows the different, the cost components and funding. Medicare cost is, so the income sources. And so how is, so it's this magical, people are 65, they're on Medicare, and everyone seems to be quite happy as long as they can get into the doctor they want to see. And it doesn't cost much. So, wow, this is great program. Well, how's it covered? So the red bar there, I guess, look at the middle line there is current year. So about 1%, relative to the total, the red section covers the hospital insurance. That is the FICA taxes. Mm-hmm. So that is the only piece that's been paid over the years. And you can see that's pretty stable. Yeah. That green piece that you see on the screen now, you can see up to 2025, I guess this is as of, or 26, sorry. pretty small portion, but if you look off to the right, it's growing. So this is where when the government said the supplemental and the Part B and D is funded indefinitely, they are just going to raise premiums if they need to cover that. But don't worry, they're not going to hit you with everything. This big gray section, it's been getting bigger and bigger to the left of the line.
The out-of-pocket.
So the out-of-pocket is the green.
Oh, the green.
Yeah. So when people, while they're working, you and I right now, we're contributing to the red.
Okay.
That's our FICA taxes. And if we have to go to the hospital, that's covered, no cost. The green is the out-of-pocket. So we don't do anything now, but when we turn 65, $202.90 a month, we start paying in. That's out-of-pocket premium, I should clarify, is the green bar. Then it's like, well, boy, that's pretty cheap. How are they doing that? That big gray bar, the bigger chunk of it, you and I are paying for that as well. Now, tax revenue.
Yeah.
So the general tax revenue is covering about 75% of it. So as retirees, hey, thanks taxpayers, you're a taxpayer as well. But notice how that bar has been growing. And then if you look to the right, how much bigger that gray bar is going.
Yeah.
That's coming from tax revenue, which we kind of are running deficits already. We got 39 trillion debt, and boy, it looks kind of bigger. So we got a problem.
Yeah.
So the other thing, and I'm a big proponent of, as you know, health savings accounts. And
yeah.
When you go to a doctor, don't go to the doctor for the sniffles. The very top line, and we're still showing the graph here, total cost. As a percentage of GDP, back in 1990, it was under 2% or right at 2%. Here we are today, we're touching 4% of our total GDP we're spending on healthcare, and we're projected to go to 7.5%. It's like, wow, that's a lot of utilization. I do believe that, again, when you have a need, go to the doctor, go to the hospital. But I think there might be an overutilization sometimes on the services. And so if we could just level set that, which I'm a big proponent of HSAs, I'm going off topic here, but if you're paying out of your own pocket,
then
you're going to shop, right? Do you shop around for a car and a refrigerator when you buy clothes? Everybody shops, right?
Right.
Do you ever not care what the price is? You're just like, okay, I'll take that. And give me more of those. And No. But what one thing do people not do that to? Medical cost.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. Back in my chair. Hey, how's the podcast going? So shut up, Kirk. Let's move on. But that's why people are so excited, is because they only are paying like less than 25% of the cost.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Yeah.
So I think the last topic is the IRMA.
Aunt Irma?
Yeah. Well, that's what I think.
Irma?
You hear people throw out the IRMA bans and staying in. So how important is that, and what should people worry about?
Yeah. So definitely be aware of it.
Yeah.
So IRMA. So it stands for Income Related Medicare Adjustment Amount. So it's a mouthful, but IRMA. I mentioned that Medicare costs $202.90 a month per person. Mm-hmm. Pull out your tax return. Look at a few podcasts ago. I think it was last month. Allie and I talked about taxes. If you're modified adjusted gross income, but basically look at adjusted gross income. If that number is below, as a joint filer, below $218,000, you don't have to worry about IRMA. If you're a single filer and it's below $109,000, you don't have to worry about IRMA. But if you're above that, so what is IRMA? It's a way for the government to finance the systems that are broke.
Yeah.
It was put in, I think, in the early 2000s when the Obamacare came around. There's a way to tax more. And then when they added the Part D. So it's higher income people. There are, again, I mentioned it's already a progressive system. If your income is above that, they start charging you extra premium besides the 202.90. Okay. And it's not just one number. They've got, I think it's like 5 different bands. So again, higher income workers, retirees at that point, if they have income above those levels, they just take more and more. So it can be as high as a couple. The extra premium with IRMA, if you're in the very top band, I think it's over $750,000. It's like an extra $18,000 per year per couple.
That's a lot. Yeah.
It's a lot.
Especially when you're living on retired funds.
Yeah. Now, again, it's those that are in higher income.
Right.
But it is a thing. So should a person, one, be aware of it?
Yeah.
And two, a lot of times, again, wearing a different hat, advisors get excited about realizing capital gains or doing a Roth conversion, or should I exercise these options if I'm retired? So you want to be aware of what controls that adjusted gross income, and if it's the things that you have control over and you're on Medicare, just be very careful
to not go into the
or if you do, go in with eyes wide open that okay, yes, I'm going to pay extra in Medicare premium, but the benefit of these other things is worth it.
Yeah.
We definitely have some clients that we Roth convert them into a couple of bands because they're going to be in a 32% bracket later. But it gets complicated. We won't get into it now. But yeah, IRMA, be aware of it. We've got a chart on the website that shows those. It varies by single versus married filing jointly, and it is modified adjusted gross income. But basically, it's before deduction. So if people are like, hey, I'll just I won't do a QCD. I'll just do a charitable deduction and deduct it on my.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't help IRMA. QCD does. So that's a side topic on tax planning. But yeah, so that's
Okay,
IRMA.
so definitely something to keep out there.
Yeah, be aware of.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think this has been very helpful to me, and I know there's a lot more information out on the actual blog if anyone wants to get more information about it. But I think you did set me at ease a little bit to know that there will be at least something for
absolutely
the hard-earned money that we've been paying. For
and not only something, roughly 80% ish.
Yeah, which is a lot.
Again, internal will have to probably work a few more longer years before they can get that full retirement age, but definitely think 80%. And I remember a line, I've told you this a few times before, but I'm going to tell our listeners again. So 80%, like if you're a current retiree, that'd be a big hit, right? I guess maybe one last myth, no guarantees on this one, but do you think that a politician will cut a retiree's benefit?
No.
And there was a line, it was back whenever Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State now, but he was a presidential candidate years ago, he was in a presidential debate and they were talking about Social Security. Again, we've known this issue for a while. Asked his views on, would you cut benefits, for existing retirees? And his line, I remember, he goes, I'm against anything that's bad for my mother. So, politicians aren't going to do it. So anyway, so that was good. So now you have some more cocktail chatter.
Stuff to think about and talk about. Well, thank you for the expertise and all the myths we busted today.
Yeah. It was good. It was good. And speaking of, I'm against bad things for any mother out there. Last month I was wishing Happy Mother's Day to people.
Happy Father's Day.
So thank you very much. So I'm recording this. We are recording this on the 18th, and so I'm sure a grill and a hunk of meat will be involved, and maybe a bike ride and some relaxation. So.
Yeah, that sounds like.
I'm not a cigar guy, so no cigars.
The perfect Father's Day to
go to church. Always go to church.
Enjoy.
Thank the big guy for what happens, and move on to the next day. So
enjoy the day.
Yeah, no, it's all good. So
you're not thinking about Social Security and Medicare on the day.
On the day, maybe. I love thinking about work and all that's involved. So I probably will a little bit, but
take a break from
not everything. So, but so that's the some myths we busted. Hopefully that was helpful. And thanks again for joining me and talking through it.
Good stuff.
Thanks for the intern for making it all happen. And that's a wrap on today's topic. All right. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Financial Translator. I hope this discussion helped clear up any confusion and will lead to more confident financial decisions. Thanks for your time. And be sure to check out all of our resources at pvwealthmgt.com. Until next time, go confidently.